It is do or die time for Oxygen and TSM, as losing this game means you are out with no more second chances. Both teams won their last series 2-0, with Oxygen toppling Dark Zero and TSM taking the victory against Blinn. Despite only going 2 maps, felt like a 3-map series, with map 1 totaling at 38 rounds played, until Oxygen was finally able to close it out 20-18, which sounds absurd to say out loud. Unfortunately for Dark Zero and spectators alike, the close map 1 was followed by a dominant Oxygen map 2 on Icebox, where their attack side looked unstoppable. Oxygen, despite the early setback of the playoffs, are still looking like a very strong contender. Granted, that is if they can make it past TSM, who have been resilient thus far in the playoffs with 2 lower bracket games under their belts already. The ability to play with your back against the wall and build on momentum from game to game is not one that can be overlooked. In their series against Blinn, who looked like dark horse contenders, TSM made sure that the series stayed firmly within their control. After a dominant map 1, the teams traded rounds back and forth on map 2, before TSM settled in and won 6 straight rounds to close the series. The narrative around TSM remains the same. Can they finally conquer a top team like Oxygen, and can they do it when it matters the most?
Welcome back, everyone, to Challengers Playoffs. Up next, we have an elimination match between TSM and Oxygen, Mid-Season Cup champions, versus a team fighting against all odds. Keg, this is going to be a good match. At least I'm hoping for a good match.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good match overall, right? If you're TSM, I think the onus is on them to really step up here, but I think they have what it takes. They've been able to make it this far into the playoffs. They've been so good about maintaining themselves to stay at this point, but up against Oxygen, it's going to be tough. Really, really tough, but they had to have prepped for today.
Yeah, I hope so, Roy. Looking at these rosters, we know them well. And TSM, I don't feel like it's one star that we're looking at, but rather a galaxy. But Sim versus Redux is obviously the duelist matchup it's easily hyped up on. But Oxygen also have a wealth of experience under their belts.
Hey, you are such a poet nowadays. Oh my God, you're in the wrong career, sis. But no, I completely agree. I think I think all 10 players in the server are very talented in their own ways. Now, obviously, there's no really hiding it. Oxygen has looked like the more consistent and cohesive team overall, but we have seen so many moments of brilliance from the TSM roster, right? Especially when like T7's popping off. We saw Sim break a record for first kill, first death in one of the series that they played. So I mean, they definitely have what it takes. It's just they've been missing that sort of key ingredient to tie all of their cookage together. But I think at any point they could find that and sort of like level up and be the team that we all expected them to be.
Yeah, they're trying to meet those expectations, rise above it. I mean, TSM are in top 4 against teams like Blinn, Dark Zero, who are not here. So when are the doubts going to stop? Well, we just got to get into breaking down TSM right away, Keg, because there's just so many talented players that have had their individual moments. But, of course, these two have met in the past. A couple weeks ago, though.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been saying it all season. Oxygen is a team that's scientifically engineered to win Ascension. They've been the best team starting from the offseason of last year, grinding quite literally every single day up until this point now. And if they lose it out here, what would it have been for? That's a very big struggle to be in. But now going into it, 9-13, 12-4, it's still a close call, all things considered, but if there's a chance to bring it back for TSM, it could be today.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what we're saying, though. Like, despite this being a 2-0, it still was a very close series, right? Like, 9-13 on map 1, yes, but the series itself was a challenge. It wasn't a sort of easy sweep for Oxygen. And that is sort of the narrative that we're going with here, right? Is that TSM is that team. They have the X factor, and at any point in time, they could just snap a finger, and now they're a completely different team, and they're bringing a different level.
And that's it, right? TSM are trying to get to that next level. They just have a bunch of different plays, but they've really stuck through thick and thin. And we'll get the highlights of what that thick and thin really looks like in terms of VALORANT. But I think it's just a team that clutch up and they don't really care what's on the exterior. They don't care about the noise on the outside. Keg, they really seem to be a team that locks in and takes things day by day.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you got to do at this point in the game, right? You really want to make sure that you're on your A game for the day. Even if your team, you individually underperform, you need to know that your teammates will have your back. Making sure that you can play as one cohesive unit is how you make it to Ascension and possibly even beyond Ascension.
And Roy, I mean, Oxygen pulled through on some big matches recently, and they're the team to beat. They're the mid-season cup champions for a reason. They find themselves in the lower bracket after quite a brawl on the upper side, and I don't think they should underestimate TSM.
Yeah, I mean, frankly speaking, I did have some concerns with Oxygen dropping to lowers because up until this point, we haven't really seen them kind of in a do or die situation. So I wasn't really sure how their mental was going to fare in all of this. But it seemed like ever since their loss to M80, they bounced back beautifully versus Dark Zero. I mean, we have talked about Dark Zero being one of the best teams in the league, and they sort of made that series look extremely easy. And the fact that they're playing to this level in lowers means that they're not really succumbing to the pressure. They're kind of in their element. They're still playing their game, and despite their loss, they're unfazed by it completely.
Yeah, and Oxygen being unfazed after meeting Dark Zero in the lower bracket quarters, like that had the longest overtime that I've ever seen. I actually casted it. I almost died of old age. It was 20-18, and it's incredible to not see Dark Zero even here. But Oxygen, they're the Kingslayers, and I mean they're the kings in their own right. And taking a look at their map pool, there really isn't a weakness. There's not really too many dents in this armor, Roy.
Yeah, Mitch has said it so many times on cam, and sometimes it sounds like they're bluffing, but in this case, I don't think it's a bluff. I genuinely think they are very simply managing 7 map pool, which is awesome to see. And they're playing every map so well. There are some gaps on Haven. I'm wondering if they're going to be picking it in this series specifically, but overall, their map pool looks fantastic, especially Lotus and Sunset.
Yeah, a lot of strengths overall in terms of the map pool. I would love to see that Haven, but if I'm Oxygen, I'm really looking to play into my strengths today and avoid that map if I can.
For sure.
Yeah, and that's easy. And you're wondering how many teams have practiced Abyss, and if that's going to be just be an automatic veto, just to not want to go something too much into the unknown.
Oh, it's boring.
But what is an unknown? The wild card, it's TSM, right? They're in the top 4 when I feel like not a lot of people gave them the respect that they deserved. Just going through their highlights right now, they pulled through some pretty incredible wins. Taking down Blindroy, I think is a statement in itself.
Absolutely. I mean, Blind is not a team to... I mean, they're an underdog team, but they have looked amazing since they joined the VSL lineup. So, I mean, the win against them was amazing. I think TSM is the type of team, again, we've said it so many times at this point, but they really are a very strong team. They have players that can all pop off at any point in time. Their X factor is always present. It's really just been, what level of consistency can you maintain, because you are going to need it versus an opponent as strong as Oxygen.
And Keg, I feel like TSM isn't a team that brings out the really funny, unique compositions. They really stick to the defaults, and they really try to be the masters of one thing while maybe incorporating new ideas here and there.
Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it. I think TSM likes to play it pretty safe compared to a lot of other teams. And for them, the big strength really shines in those mechanical plays. We've been highlighting Seven so much, and a lot of the rounds depending on him or other players too. But it really just comes down to that teamwork and more of the fundamental areas of how they want to conduct themselves.
Yeah, like TSM have some pain points, but they also have some strengths, and they could be a team that rides off of momentum and also behind the momentum that this guy creates, Roy.
Yeah, I've been a very open fan of Seven. I'm not even gonna lie. He is such a good player. He's gonna have an amazing career ahead of him. I think at any point in time, I mean, there was a small adjustment period for him, right? Because he did swap to a new role going into this year. But right now, it seems like it's sort of kicked in. And whenever Seven is having a good game, it feels like TSM's wins are so much easier. And whenever he's sort of having a quiet game or things aren't really going his way, it really does feel like TSM is struggling. So in my opinion, he sort of is that glue for their success or failure, pretty much.
Yeah, and teams will talk trash to TSM and they'll still stay composed and bring out a win. And it really, and I remember hearing a GMD interview about just talking about how much they've improved and how hard they've worked. And this is really a team that has to keep their head down and do just that. And we got to go into the stats. I mean, us talking is one thing, but the numbers tell a whole different story. This is how these two teams have compared. Keg, bring me through kind of the biggest numbers that stick out to you.
Oh man, I mean, there's a lot of large numbers that comes from Oxygen side. Let me tell you that. The post plans, I think that being the first one's the most interesting. 84% of the post plant rounds Oxygen end up converting. They're the number one at that. TSM, not too far off in doing that. I think we could see kind of where we saw with Moist Shopify and M80 towards the end of that last series, where a lot of these rounds could be very much dictated on the post plants and how whether or not Oxygen, not as much of a triple sentinel heavy team, they want to still play for the post plants and really guard down and play for a huge stall game.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about the 4v for like the sort of the X factor for TSM, excuse me. But as you can see here for the 4v5s for TSM, they do have almost the highest in the league. 30.6%. They're able to claw back any disadvantage anytime they feel like they've messed up the opener. It's really no stress, no worries for them because they do have the talent, they do have the players to claw their way back, to make those individual plays, to be the heroes that the team needs.
Yeah, and I think if TSM can really pick up the pistol round and get these early rounds going, kind of generate some good hype. Like you heard in our last interview, how important that mental is to progress through a game, especially in a high stakes environment like a lower bracket match where the loser goes home. And it really doesn't matter who was the better team in the regular season, matters who's the better team now in playoffs. And we have our map select to decide where we're going to and where that score will be settled. It's still a best of 3. Sunset, Bind, or not.
Well, it was at one point.
Oh, we got a prettier graphic for you. How about this? All right, let's get through it. Oxygen, they veto Haven.
Boo,
TSM
no Abyss,
veto
boo.
Abyss. No Abyss, boo. Oxygen select Sunset. TSM select Bind. And we will settle it all on Lotus. Roy, what's your reaction to this?
My first reaction is I'm not very surprised by this veto whatsoever. This is like probably the most predictable veto. Oxygen sticking to their best map, Sunset. TSM sticking to one of their best maps, Bind. And we're going to a Lotus, a sort of middle ground for both of these teams. They've looked pretty good on it, although Oxygen's Lotus has looked amazing in comparison to TSM's. But I think overall, this is a pretty good veto for both teams, to be honest.
I'm definitely interested in looking at Bind because this is a map that TSM had lost to Oxygen on not too long ago.
Yeah, we have numbers based on the win rates on those maps and just overall, what are the best maps for TSM and Oxygen? Where was Oxygen? I mean, we've talked about how they really don't have a weak map pool, weak map besides Baby Haven, which is very new to the map pool, which they've only played twice, while as TSM have hot or cold moments. You know, Icebox, definitely their weaker one. Ascent is something they like to avoid. Lotus doesn't look good, but Bind, man, is one of TSM's favorite maps, Keg.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the last 7 times they've played it, they've won 71% of it. That is one of their golden maps that they have. We have a little bit more specific stats too for this recent tournament, which is good, but I mean, it's relatively the same as well. 5 wins, 3 losses. That is their domain, but they still lost to Oxygen on that map. So map number 1, I feel pretty confident it's going to go in Oxygen's favor. They've won 90% of the time they've been there, but I really think the onus of whether or not we go to map 3 or if we get to see TSM move on forwards will have to come down to that Bind map.
Yeah, and I really want to kind of draw our attention back to Sunset because that is like the first map we're going into. It's a 10-1 for Oxygen. They have a 90% win rate on that versus TSM's 3-2, 60% win rate. Then we go into Bind, which is the first map that we see on the screen right here. They're 4-2, 5-3, very close. It's going to be a very heavily contested map. And then we're going into Lotus as the decider map, which again, that is Oxygen's second best map. They have looked fantastic on the map. They're 8-1 on it, 89% win rate, almost 90%. And then TSM, of course, who has been sort of struggling on the map, 37.5%. But obviously, if they're floating Lotus, they most definitely have an idea. They are prepped. They know how they're going to challenge Oxygen on the map.
And I mean, Oxygen don't have to change something that's not broken.
Right.
The usual Raze, Omen, KO, Cypher, Breach is what they've been running all stage. But Keg on TSM's side, they just recently started using the Gecko and the Neon. First time doing it against SAD. And let's see, it resulted in a win 13-10. What are your thoughts on the Neon Gecko versus KO Raze?
I mean, the KO Raze is definitely an option I like a little bit more, but the Neon pick, if we're going to Sunset, might be a little interesting if we see a Cypher up against them. You don't have that verticality when it comes to a Raze or a Jet, but when you have the Neon, you can be very fast, but it definitely makes your rounds a lot more attacker-sided, and the defense needs to be a lot more on point than normal.
Well, I know I'm on point wherever I am and whatever I'm doing because of Blacklight.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun dun dun. I know we just got the Blacklight, so I've been wanting to recline so bad because Blacklight know how to make high quality chairs, desks, whatever, because they make equipment for gamers, because they know when it's time to lock in for Valorant, and you don't want bad equipment because that means bad games. Blacklight know how to keep you on top. So we can now go to our Agent Select, brought to you by Blacklight, to see if we're going to see the return of the TSM Neon or not, because how is that Neon going to deal with a Cypher? It is just booby-trapped everywhere, so a lot on Sim to handle there, Roy.
Yeah, it's going to require a little bit of finesse from TSM, right? They do have the Aftershock to sort of deal with some of the sticky ones, like the God one towards B side. They do have some of the util to deal with it, but I mean, obviously there's layers of mind games, right? Dapper is not an amateur. He's been competing for a long time in the same role, so he's probably mentally already ahead of the pathings that TSM is going to want to take. So it is really going to come down to prep, mind games, layers of adaptation on the fly as well, and may the best team win.
And may the best team win. Who is going to survive in this lower bracket? Who will climb up to top 3? We're about to find out. Let's send it over to our casters, Wyatt and Uber.
Thank you very much, Lemon Kiwi. Yeah, I mean, a lot of discussion here about the differences between these two team compositions, but the story is that Sunset is not necessarily a playground for TSM. It's Oxygen's massive map pool that lets them float this or Lotus in most of their series and just kind of go where the wind takes them in that regard. I mean, it was talked about as well, Wyatt. This whole map pool feels good for Oxygen, a team who have been together for so long. And a complete blowout loss against M80 on that Ascent map finds them here fighting for their life in the lower bracket.
Yeah, would not have expected to see this team in need of a lower bracket run to make Ascension, where at the beginning of the year, if you were to do a community poll of which two teams from NA do you think will make Ascension, Oxygen are a shoo-in for that. They had so much success in the off-season, and everything is on the line for them here against TSM to get into the lower final, where they've got a shot at meeting that goal they've been working towards as a team for basically a full year now.
Straight down mid we go. It's going to be Dapper. Wants to play pretty close, and that 0 point does reveal the location of the Cypher of a Proto on that A side of the map, but this narrows it down considerably for Oxygen. Scuba knows he's about to get awful busy.
TSM just slowly contacting into B main, trying to break that trip. They will dispatch of that and access the site entirely for free. The only thing they're unaware of, wow, actually aggression into market off the util sim. Now trying to retreat, stunned up. No lives exchanged, but damage.
That is wild to me that they actually don't find anything. TSM pushing into market. Relay bot was there. They had a good paranoia that connected onto Redux, but he's able to get out alive and managed to exfil the Raze. Still, though, we are in a post-plant scenario now, and Sim is forced to move a little bit. Poised, caught out Redux, though, with that aftershock. And Sim can plant his feet and fight proper. It's up to Dapper and Mitch here. Dapper, who has a bit of a flank timing now. Mitch is holding his ground, but Dapper needs to be quicker about this. And Mitch just doesn't really have the bandwidth to clean this up. Foul line here makes it impossible for him to step up to the spike, and he'll have to let this one go up in smoke.
Somehow in the midst of that, not even in the midst, in the opening, Poise collecting a free one with the aftershock. The last little piece of util that anyone on TSM had remaining. Simple, straightforward, but effective from them. Proactive, too. I do like the attempt at that market push with Sim on the Neon, the aggressive component. Man who's going to be sliding in off the breach utility that their IGL Poised will be offering to him. TSM off to a hot start on a map where last we saw them against SAD. It was some straight up muddy Valorant, Mitch. muddy men throwing mud at each other. They've got to do some serious cleaning up for this game. A lot more structure needs to be added.
We just got to see the best pistol team in challenges, though, during the course of playoffs. Show us what they're capable of.
Yeah, that is mad, right? TSM heading into this, winning 64% of the pistol rounds. And there's another one. Number one up.
Now they're expecting here that one way just as it starts to clear over on this A side of the map. Again, it's going to be Scuba essentially playing solo over at one of these sites. Once more, TSM have called the correct location to hit here. It's a stack towards top mid, though, for Oxygen. And Verno was able to claim a Proto. A weapon, though, not in a position to be picked up, recovered by Oxygen. Now they're going to try and get onto this A site, and I think they know about this pushing through spawn. They check the side proper. Relay bolt there for Sim. And Seven's able to rush on up with that stinger and leave Mitch riding solo here in the post plant.
At this point, if I'm poised, GMD, whomever, if I spot out Mitch here, tucked in the corner of sight, just let Seven go get that kill. 2 away from the Thrash already. Have that available on the bonus round. And GMD is going to clean that up, but regardless, Seven can play for an orb, Wingman for the plant. All of a sudden, you have a Thrash for the post, and you might be able to convert this bonus against Oxygen, who are fully invested into the buy.
I want to point out, though, as good as they are at the pistol, TSM are one of the weakest bonus teams in our in our top 8. They actually win only 43% of their bonus rounds typically, so they do want to keep it nice and tight here. Up against his Oxygen squad, who again have been able to buy up now, of course, after a slower start to the game, and they leave mid alone entirely. Scuba takes an early peek in a B main, sees nothing.
TSM, again, these slow openings, a lot of contact pushes. Now just bursting into market with the speed of the Neon. Stuns exchanged as things slow down. The paranoia is beautifully timed from Scuba. Free first kill.
He just walked on in with that paranoia active. And Mitch, what a timing to find! Gimon goes loose, and so does the spike. It's all up to poised here. And that is a very, very clean full buy here for Oxygen. And quite an explosive way to make their way back into this game. I mean, another 9 seconds or so before this fault line is available, and the spike is virtually in a different state. Poised here, happy to let this one be done, at least wresting a gun out of the hands of Oxygen.
Just compacting TSM in market there. Applying pressure from all angles, swinging aggressively for each other are Oxygen, and they handle that fast take of market pretty flawlessly. Shutting down any hopes of a bonus win from TSM. Still now, Sim has that ultimate available. 7, 1 away from the Thrash. So continuing to keep my eyes on that for sure as the TSM side gather up towards B. Looking to fault line for the fast take, and that will force Scuba back.
They're at least able to trade a fault line of Vernos here just to dissuade any fast push out here to B. Smoke to top of mid here. This has allowed a Proto to do a bit of exploration. And what? Oh, yeah. A freebie there for Sim, virtually. Sees a player back on that side. 0 point came out instantly. He's definitely going to spot out a lot of this action. And I think that was Thrashy Boy getting put to bed.
Yeah, it was. 7 tried to pop that quickly so the team could explode into the B site after that pick on the breach. Oxygen now lacking that active initiator utility for Redux or anyone else to fight off of. No fault line. Mitch still does have 1 flash, but not a whole lot to work off of. Jiggle peek from Redux doesn't even fire a shot. Just retreating into elbow.
Here's more.
The rotations are so far away here, though. Redux has to play very safe, and he's going to have to fall off the side entirely over towards Spawn. Full retake here for TSM.
30 seconds.
And there might be an issue on the rotation here because the Proto is inserted at the top of mid. And he's absolutely heard that rotation come through. There's a trip in his way, though. We'll see how that plays out in a moment as Sim wants to take this fight over towards Link. Good damage, but Scuba's able to bring him down. Now the TP to the side. Scuba embedded here at A, but brought down instantly. Timon casts him out. Nice little double there for Redux, but unfortunately, damage was already done by TSM. And 7 ends the round.
I like the attempt from Scuba trying to create some presence in the site to force TSM to split their attention in multiple directions so the rest of his team can flood. But it just does not work out as intended. TSM winning out the duels quicker on the trigger. Oxygen in a tough economic position now. Forcing up into this round, which means Redux will have the Singer, though he won't mind too much with the Showstopper now available.
Can they salvage this with sheer weight of ultimates? Might be a question. A great time to interrupt TSM as they start to build that reserve. Sim is already out of tiles here. This timing is a bit faster than even could be caught by Dapper's cam there.
Yeah, and the last time TSM went for this little early round default, they pushed very quickly into market. This time just letting Oxygen know that there could be presence in mid, that they have to be wary. That's why you see Mitch, picking it up at the top of the minimap right there. They don't have info trips, so they have to hard watch it.
Here he comes.
Showstopper baited. He's not going to find a single thing with this.
And maybe if there's a world, if he throws out the boom bot, maybe a little bit earlier, or maybe not at all, just goes for that. He might have been able to find something, but he lacked information. TSM have teased that out of him like a dirty secret.
Redux now gets the info, knows that it'll be a repush. Barely escapes with his life, 61 HP, getting back sight. Overwhelming utility from TSM. Verno can't convert, neither can Redux. Despite dodging those flashes, had the opportunity, couldn't capitalize. And now Oxygen, no option but saving.
Yeah, 3-gun save here for Oxygen. I mean, you saw Verno there ready to take that contact over by Link, but with the Neon sliding break in the crosshair placement, even with the trip up, there was nothing that could be done. God, that was absolutely... Oh, Faded's been working on something, mate. That was a fantastic anti there against Oxygen. Playing around Redux's position expertly.
Target 86.
Oh, he'll punish the Proto there for his curiosity. That is going to be Oxygen now struggling to find a foothold in this game, and they're by next round. Well, they'll have the 3 rifles to bring in, but not a whole lot else. The upside is a couple of these ults are coming online, but it's going to take more than that, as TSM have been happy to draw them out.
GMD. GMD. And GMD only had 550 credits. A Proto going down, wandering about looking for a kill. Sure. Had a little stash of 2,600 in the bank, but GMD could have used that. All good, though. They've still got the full buy, full armors, full utility. Working towards Poise Rolling Thunder, if they can gain access to a couple of these orbs.
Right, we'll see an early check here of that one-way position. Pretty illuminating, I think.
Yeah, that is a significant amount of information. And speaking of information, that's the kind of setup a Proto has right now. He has his trip for B main, so he'll...
Going out.
Not only he, but TSM will know if there's a walk out there, if they've lost that part of the map, as well as the cam in mid that he can check at any time. Again, just will be very aware of anyone pushing deep. And knowing that no one's here, TSM can just contact right out. This is a new position for Redux, though. He gets immediately caught by Sim. So cerebral in that moment. So heads up to check that.
I don't know how he knows that, but Sim just... He's getting to do anything he wants here. Basically walks up on that smoke for free and takes Mitch down. Scuba at least is able to find one here. Verno set up on Link once more. Takes big damage, but what a shot. Guardian going to work now means Dapper goes up against Gimon. And that trip reveals the position of the Omen, who does have ult up. So on a dime, Gimon could be elsewhere. Dapper's creeping up on him. Can he catch him? The timing. So good for Dapper, unreal. And what a way to snatch a round back. Gimon didn't know what hit him.
Sim did so much there as well, but with those kills, I think TSM began to rush things. And they get exposed for it. But without Verno hitting some incredible shots there, obviously Oxygen would not have been dragging that back from the cusp of another round loss. And despite playing some very supportive roles, Verno will give you one highlight round no matter what, every map. The mechanical skill from him is just phenomenal.
What a time to find that two-piece with the Guardian. Sim chomping at the bit here, gets himself into elbow. But Scuba challenges it, takes up that smoke position and wins it out. Not ideal, though, for Oxygen as the Proto mowing them down in the middle part of the map. Rolling Thunder popped. And now Scuba also falls. Both defenders now caught on the wrong side of that smoke over the link. And they may opt to try and split here. Economy is okay for Oxygen after winning that round out of kind of nowhere. They might be asking for more, though. They're poised out of the picture. Redux still has a boom bot to play off as well. Somehow Wingman catching him there. And Mitch gets spotted, or rather spots out two of the players embedded here on that A site.
Last player standing.
Ambitious, to say the least, from Redux.
Ambitious, but has the economy to do something a little ambitious, so it won't be that big of a deal. And frankly, damage done from him would have mattered if you look at the TSM bank. But regardless, what I really want to highlight here about TSM is how just straightforward they're playing right now. Last time, again, we saw them on Sunset versus Sad. It was just such a messy game. So messy. And I think due to that, they've really just stripped back how they want to approach this map. I mean, they are just going for a lot of straight-up duels, which, frankly, does play to their strength. I mean, look at the people on this roster. You have Poise the IGL, and he's surrounded himself with some pretty serious mechanical gods of challengers. And I don't say that lightly. I mean, everyone has known forever that a Proto, sick aimer. In that round, just finds two. Like, somehow, he also kills Verno, who's trying to trade. GMD, who's been the foundation of this team, along with Seven, Sims entrying. They're playing a pretty ruthless style right now, just maxed out pressure on Oxygen, taking the fight to them. You really can't be mad at it.
I mean, we're talking about Seven, who is second in all of challenges here at ACS in kills per round over the course of these playoffs. Big part of why TSM have been able to get so far. And Sim has looked incredible this game, just brimming with confidence. Not to mention a Proto, that quick, the 2K there in the middle of the map. All of these TSM players can absolutely hold their own out there. And honestly, they're reading Oxygen like a book too. Like it's very clear that they have the download on this team. There's so much tape on Sunset, like 10 maps worth of it. TSM are read up.
Out of this time, I know TSM have opened a few rounds like this 1-3-1 with Sim working through tiles, taking a peek towards market. And I think Oxygen might be a little aware. At least gets a first kill, though. Duelist for duelist. The young star Redux down. GMD just probing towards B, not able to break the camera. Just falls off.
Boys here. A fault line will definitely unsettle Mitch in that position. Now Proto can cover the cross here. This is obviously awkward for the play with the judge inside elbow. Scuba tries to assist by throwing this one way down. This does mean that Mitch actually might get the contact he's hoping for. Not quick enough. A Proto doesn't miss. Instant headshot, instantly going to use that neural theft.
Yeah, Crosshair was just awkwardly placed a little bit to the left, catching some of that wall with a movement adjustment. Wingman going in, doing his duty, but gets gunned down by Verno. Back sight, and now TSM do have to breach this. Rolling Thunder comes through.
Dizzy! What a Dizzy from Seven just as the Rolling Thunder came in. At least lets him go 1-for-1. Now we're even. Boys has a step up and recover the spike, and Verno looks like he's unlikely to be moved. Boys at least can wrap on this, finds the timing he was looking for, and Scuba, who was set up in Boba, now has a chance at a fair fight against Boys, who will get the spike down.
Scuba's such a talented mechanical player as well for Oxygen, always has been against TSM's IGL.
Still a fault line up, but awkward to make use of that solo. Does spot Scuba. Scuba takes a glancing blow. That fault line does get used, but Scuba has already wrapped around clockwise past this central pillar. Hoist hears that though. He hears the shots fired off. These two players just playing ring around for the time being. The time is short for Scuba. Gives it a tap and Poised wins it out. A huge Zippo clutch to keep TSM with the momentum.
Yeah, huge is an understatement. Look at Oxygen's money. Absolutely down the drain. Verno, considering a hero rifle, will think better of it. Just pick up the sheriffs all around. TSM beginning to snowball this game. So many ults for this following round. Round 10, which will be the bye. They look to be in great form right now, and that's really one of my big questions for TSM. Are they peaking at the right time, Mitch? Because it has been an up and down year for them. I think they've been one of the swingiest teams in Challengers. When they're hitting, their players who are clearly mega talented can just smoke their opposition. But when they're off, their synergy looks pretty abysmal at times. And if they're peaking right now in the playoffs, playing like this, players hitting like this, you could clearly see how talented they are.
Okay, fault line not even needed there. Proto just takes the raw duel and wins it out. Again, it's a weapon advantage here for TSM. And they are more than happy to exacerbate it. Again, they don't have much of the map under their control, but they've made huge inroads over towards A. And Sim might be looking ahead here as a much slower rotation comes in from Oxygen. They are going to be at the right part of the map here. I think Dapper was thinking about a cam there or something similar. And there's a ping at tiles. So I guess maybe concern about a late reflank from TSM if you're Oxygen. No, just plants his feet. Huge kill to take now, forced to back away if he can. Paranoia going to be thrown in, catching two of the players at least for Oxygen. And this thrash is a problem. Catches on. Gimon strides onto the side, but Dapper has that off angle. Will catch him out. It's Verno who's still detained. Finally breaks free of it. And another Sheriff kill on towards the Proto here. Numbers are now even for Oxygen, and they've recovered a Vandal. A lot to work with as Poised has to challenge this, and he can't! Scuba shuts them down. A ridiculous thrifty win here for Oxygen.
The two crucial parts of that round. Great call from Oxygen to rotate over, stack the A site, have the proper read. And Verno, those shots, outrageous. How does he connect that first one onto Sim, rounding the corner, max speed, jumping one tap down? Right now, just don't swing into Verno's angle. He is just sickening with the reaction time at the moment. Crosshair placement perfect.
Can I get a drop?
There's a reason that the partnership teams are looking forward to this guy being eligible to play. Operator picked up by Redux, a very aggressive op player. Will re-swing you. Going so far forward, footsteps made, a lot of sound, and now a lot of pressure from the Neon stun as well. Sim gets two, so many first bloods for the TSM duelist.
This is relentless. The forward line catching there on towards Redux, so much more lethal when it's followed up by Neon. Verno again able to give a good account of himself and slow things down, but 7 is on that plant, and Dapper got smashed there through the cyber cage. This raw pace from TSM, in stark contrast to the MXS we saw in the previous series, is catching Oxygen off guard consistently.
That was brash from Redux, to be frank. Verno shut down. Scuba, the last Oxygen player remaining in the 1 versus 3, maybe can find a timing on 7. Really not expecting him to be coming from elbow at all. But just going to fall away.
Yeah, there's really no opportunity there for Scuba to make an impact, but this is starting to become concerning for Oxygen. It's not even particularly subtle from TSM. They walk up on A, they throw a fault line in, and Sim just runs. And they really have this read on Oxygen's setup so much on this defense. Proto's such a problem through the middle part of the map. In this moment here, they had the fault line placed for the fallback, in fact.
No, I think that was entirely too brash from Redux to be pushed up there with the op. Really didn't have much support. Mitch was trying to get there to him. But if you've watched TSM on this map previously, or frankly, just generally when you're running the Neon Breach here, this comp excels at ruling elbow. You are going to get stunned there. You're going to get flashed. They have the Dizzy. They have breach flashes, the fault line coming through, the Neon stun as well. I think that was more than risky to be playing forward. Oxygen, at the very least, will have another buy here and the big ultimates for an opportunity to convert a 4th. Dapper's pushed down mid, as is Redux.
They are really set up to try and punish someone like a Proto here. And he doesn't give them anything. Just a little peek. There was a fault line that came in from Verno at top mid, but a Proto did not offer enough up to allow him to be caught out. Now a full retake here for Oxygen. They do have the null command that they come in from behind. And of course, not too far from the showstopper is Redux.
The null command coming through will shut down TSM's plan of setting up a little paranoia play towards a main 2 on the flank. A Proto has to be ready as is poised the crossfire.
It's not bad, but it's not good enough. In fact, it's going to be Redux that ends up winning it up, but Sim doubles back to deal with it. Still player advantage here for Oxygen. Flashpoint there, throwing up, and Verno. It's been Verno to bail them out. Gimon, too much to ask for there with Mitch and Scuba already set up. And Oxygen may be making a bit of a recovery towards the end of the half. Good way to save some face and set themselves up for the attack side.
It really has been Verno bailing this team out on the critical rounds, finding the impact kills, impact multi-kills. I mean, credit to Redux there too. I believe it was him that shut down that crossfire that was holding the A flank from the attacker's spawn. You know, that should have been a bit easier for Poised and a Proto to clean up too, but they just could not connect those crucial shots. Final round now, final chance for TSM to extend their lead with the litany of ultimates that they've got available to them.
Real amount of them. And they plunge straight up mid. There is no one watching top mid on Oxygen side. They're so heavily commit to A. They're giving up that part of the map and over the B. What a great choice here. The split of the century for TSM. No one able to catch them in mid for Oxygen, and somehow Sim disrespects the rocket. Still gets out with that old kill, and now it is TSM swarming over the B side. Sluggishly through mid. Oxygen are trying to set up here, but the Neural Theft is going to tell all. Mitch walks straight into Gimon's crosshair. And this has been a TSM half from start to finish. Stunning work for the attack side team. And Poise is more than happy to meet Verno and Scuba with a hail of bullets. A flawless round to end the half, and TSM are up by 4.
Again, just, it's simple from TSM, but it is working. They have stripped back their Sunset. A lot of contact plays with that sudden burst of aggression that their composition offers. With the Neon, with the Breach in tandem. The multiple flashes that they have available to them as well.
This goes here.
And their players are in form right now. That is more than obvious. And as far as the individual play, it's really only Verno that is standing up to TSM in regard to the firepower. Really going to need the rest of their players to start coming online, start winning some of these duels that they need to win.
Still the one way, as usual. For the most part, being disrespected. Redux having to walk up on A here. Again, we're going to see a lot of this fault line towards elbow set up from both sides here. That's what the breach is for.
Yeah, this trap play from TSM. Look at this Dizzy ready, Paranoia ready off Sim's contact.
Sim sees it. Oh, he gets more than just a bit of contact. The instant headshot. And TSM get absolutely crushed. Redux at least is able to sneak here into elbow behind them and might have a chance to salvage the round. There's 2 headshots. Somehow, Oxygen get themselves out of the doldrums. It'll be up to a Proto with a ghost. He sees it. But Redux only shows a little bit of leg. Dapper's going to be grouped up there. Are you kidding me? What a ridiculous pistol. What?
I always play high stakes.
We mentioned it on the first TSM in playoffs. They had the highest pistol round win rate coming into this game at 64%. They win both pistols on Sunset. If Oxygen can come back from here, that would be more than impressive. That would be phenomenal. TSM are in prime position to win this game. Oxygen doing something that I've seen them do before, and that is get Redux and Outlaw on round 2. But if you look at TSM, they have 4 heavy armors right now. Not even really a chance for that one-shot kill. I mean, unless, listen, he has the right player to face near the scope. That is Sim. The only one-shottable member of TSM at the moment.
The only member of TSM that's also picked up a Vandal here. So also with that one-shot potential. Gimon there pushed up pretty deep to check that corner. But this one way coming at the halfway point in the round is going to be a little annoying for the attackers. They are going to respect it. Gimon, of course, can sort of swing in and out of this corner. That Spectre in hand, not too bad on the run. There's the shot. Gimon able to avoid it. Just a shoulder peek gives him that information. Now you'll see the drift across from 7 through spawn.
And now TSM will be more than prepared to play around this outlaw.
That smoke forces Oxygen to take elbow in 2 distinct stages. Contact for the first on the corner is Gimon, and Redux gets punished. That's the big investment. The outlaw clatters to the ground. Scuba at least was able to recover it here, but Poised has been unshakable, unmovable towards top mid. Relay bot for him as he wants to cross it. Yeah. Flashily, he dispatches Mitch. 12 seconds left. That spike ain't getting planted. I'll tell you that for free. 7 does a little bit of farming here, and it's going to be up to Scuba. Always good with the Sheriff, but with no time left to plant, that'll be another TSM round. Oxygen are getting clowned on what's arguably their best map.
Right there.
Oh, I was looking to see if a Proto would just make it to that outlaw, but doesn't. But 7 is going to buy one anyhow. Good decision. Oxygen going to have at least a couple light armors, which is the case, given they invested into that outlaw. They had a Sheriff as well. So a bit of potential for 7 to get that one-shot kill. I mean, look, I'm just taking a peek at the scoreboard now. Didn't even notice, but Sim has just fully taken over this game. 20 for 10 at the moment. Well over 1 kill per round.
He's been relentless. Absolutely relentless. Chasing up a lot of that breach util when it's been available. He's always been getting involved in a lot of these early fights. And again, I don't mind the outlaw pick up here for 7. A lot of teams contact the extremities on this map because they can't afford util on every damn corner. And that's where you can get caught out by that scope weapon.
Things slowing down in the mid-round. A little bit of an info setup for Dapper towards B main. Cam, very deep, so at any point in the round, which will be now, a minute left on the clock, they can regain this space for free. But now it's about what 7 do with the outlaw. Wow, instantly removed from the server by Mitch.
Mitch had the armor. That's the difference maker there. Comes out of that engagement with 10 health left. Redux with the showstopper will clear this space, but Gimon didn't really have anywhere to go. He was sandwiched between Scuba and Redux. Oxygen finally showing some signs of life here. Finally looking to get into the game, as Sim will have to contend with this trip to cover the flank of Oxygen.
What is going to happen with Scuba? A game of timings, and a Proto finds it. Can recover a rifle.
Regrouped up here in market. They are in position for a retake attempt here, but Dapper's going to make that a little more complex. Fast lane! Sim pops out of it with his back to Dapper. And while a Proto is able to trade, it's going to take a little bit more. Time's of the essence. Mitch is low, and he's more than happy to hold a Proto in this position with a shoulder peek here or there. And Proto knows it too. He will get out, and Mitch taking the hit of that outlaw for one of his teammates is able to end the round with a kill.
Pretty important that Mitch finds that last-second kill. Money is in a dire state for Oxygen, headed out of their first buy round. But the round win, far more important than the economy.
All right, well, they got up to 5 now. Again, money matters. TSM with a smattering of weaponry to their name. Looks like a Proto bought for Sim here. Make sure that Neon has the Vandal to hand still. Be able to buy up for the next. That's the most important part. Redux with a fast play over towards elbow. Gimon unfazed by the fault line. It didn't even touch him. And the Razor's out of the picture.
And frankly, that's what I'm talking about with the difference in the mechanics right now. TSM are so on point. Redux is set up with a fault line, superior weapon, and loses the duel to the Stinger. 7 jiggling for a bit of info and finds it. 2 different Vandals firing bullets his way, which gives TSM a fair bit of information.
Early Oxygen have taken some of that elbow control and then opt to pull out entirely. This might be a play for Link. I think that 7 is more than ready to get a cheeky one with the classic. Dapper knows the Proto was the timing. 2 Titans matching up there. The grizzled veteran coming out on top. See TSM get revealed here towards top mid, and now we're off to the races. Everybody headed over towards B with 33 seconds left in the round. Cybercage will cover the cross. They'll avoid the fault line. Poise will take contact there. The one brings Snapper down. It's a 1-for-1.
Great stun from Sim.
Scuba's about to get busy inside. Smoke. It's Sim that walks up in there for him. Another for the Omen. Why not? GMD's on his own. The advantage being that Oxygen don't know where he is, but with the Stinger and with the standard post-plant setup in B lobby for Oxygen, it is the tallest of tall orders for this gentleman. Maybe just settling for taking a rifle out of the round. Remember, TSM bought down in order to be able to buy for the next, so any chance to take guns away from Oxygen may well be worth it. Gimon gets lit here. Should be some spam coming into the smoke. Off to his right with Scuba sneaking up for his third.
Vital of Oxygen to have timing to push through those backside smokes to find the kills on the fast TSM rotators. TSM now will have the full buy that they were waiting for. That duel right there really could have spelled disaster though for Oxygen. GMD, just the stinger against the rifle and won that. But a great recovery as a whole from the team. TSM will be on the timeout now as we head into a very important round.
Absolutely. A real inflection point in this half. TSM lose this round and Oxygen are well and truly back in this game. Yeah, we're looking for them to find that value from Sim, but of course, the impact of that duelist manifests much differently on the defense side. But there is the potential, of course, for plenty of those defensive trap plays. We've seen that Sim and Poise combo work really well in concert on the attacking side. That awkward pistol round, right? That's a good example of where those trap plays can go down. You have your reach set up on that A site to throw the fault line up to play off of. A lot of options here for TSM who want to right this ship that's starting to sink a little low in the water.
Just a reminder that TSM have won both of the pistol rounds in this game. One of the main reasons that they have the lead that they've got right now. Their economy is on the line. Of the utmost importance that they win this round to close out the game, or Oxygen's comeback will basically be a reality. They'll almost be there.
One suppressed.
That fault line to get them out. And TSM very much playing off the site here. Scuba gets on in, and it'll be Mitch to get a plant out. For some reason, Yamada's checking that A side very quickly, just in case there's someone running loose here. A very nice, fast site hit here for Oxygen. Mitch still sitting on top of that ultimate too.
Sim closes the door to deny a flank as they try to work in. Trip removed for safe entry. Redux alone just immediately shot down.
Here comes that ult command after the fact. That's been used, of course, from B main. Oxygen ready to fight for it from here. Going after TSM to find a way in. They're a little low on YouTube, but they do have a fault line there for Poise. They send it off. And there it is. 7 to find 2 quick ones. Scuba and Verno grouped up. Time is short. Still not even half on the spike. They've got to fight in B main. And it's not enough. They've run out of time with a player advantage at the end of the round. TSM crumble. And Oxygen get a hard-fought round back.
Just not able to get onto the spike at any point there late. I think someone could have gotten on it a bit earlier, though, when it was messy, when the null command came in, when things were getting scrambled. A small thing lost in the moment with massive consequences. So difficult with no utility to try and fight back in B main. When the attacking side is using the cosplay Pearl B strat where you just spam the spike. God, it's annoying to retake in those situations. And it's got TSM on the eco. Clean round here from Oxygen. Would almost completely bring this comeback to reality. The game is getting very tight.
TSM went for the trap play at the start of the round at A, but look at this position for Verno and Scuba. Oxygen more than ready for some shenanigans from the defenders. So they will wait. This does, of course, mean that they've not managed to take a whole lot of map control, and Elbow will still be treacherous against these shorter range weapons. Poised also playing pretty far back there in top mid. So TSM offering the map here to Oxygen. And now under a minute, they start to make a move towards B.
Dapper continuing to run this info setup where he goes early into B main, places the cam, can work the map elsewhere, and so long as it's not broken, so long as no one has walked in, they can just take the space right back for free. A couple kill trips to contend with, but
30 seconds
broken. Safe passage into the site.
Cage triggered.
Similar looking around to the last one here, Wyatt. This time, though, TSM's weaponry far more lackluster. And again, I just don't think Gimon is in a position for a late refrank. He's going to have to deal with all of those trips. Here comes Sin. Relay ball going to be thrown out. It's going to be Verno to open up. As Seven emerged there from Market, and there was no way that a Proto was getting out of that corner with the aftershock flown in. That was the ultimate for Neon. Taken down instantly. And it is Gimon. All the way across the map. Not really anything notable to take into the next round, weaponry-wise. But Oxygen with a flawless round, this is where that economy starts to build up. It starts to give them the buffer they need to equalize here, if not outstrip TSM in rounds.
Yeah, some damage from Gimon would have actually been of fairly significant value. Oxygen are just starting to build their economy back up. I'm going to need to see TSM contend more for B main. Oxygen have, in an entirely free fashion, controlled B with a simple Cypher cam and been able to work back there, get into the site pretty much 100% uncontended, get the plant down, set up for the easy post plant where you spam the spike. TSM need to gain some map control there. That aspect of the game, they have been losing.
That's the risk of playing off-site as Cypher as well. You don't really have anchor presence on B. He was playing inside Market off a cam. That cam from Dapper, or rather from a Proto, can watch into B main and also into Market respectively. So he can play off of it, but just let the attackers just walk up and in there.
Yeah, and once again, Dapper has thrown that cam into B main. No contention from TSM, who are far more focused on some kind of split coming in. 2 players in Market. Seven just going to fall off, feeling the pressure. Top mid. And with that hole in the defense, Oxygen will make their way through. I mean, an A split coming in potentially from spawn.
Oh, the timing. This flank play here from Mitch, beautifully put together. Oxygen, with the smokes, they telegraphed a B split by smoking top mid, and then they walk up through it. And of course they don't get spotted because Ferno gets off that angle. Boys brought down here again. This was a proper gun round, a buy for TSM. And they found absolutely nothing. All of a sudden, Oxygen, the lights have gone on, up between the ears. And they've come up with some fantastic rounds back-to-back. This one less hair-raising and fast-paced. But absolutely unravels TSM and forces them into a save.
Cage triggered.
And what I'm asking is, first of all, how did they get past that mid-trip? That was misplaced by a Proto. I didn't even notice, but they must have just crouched past it. I thought for a second they were trying to break it, or they fired a shot and Seven fell off. How did they get... What occurred? I need to see what happened there again. I don't know how they got past that trip. But regardless, the TSM lose all their weapons. The economy is boomed. And as am I from that round. What the hell was going on? I mean, TSM were absolutely lost.
I think, yeah, like, I mean, Poised pulled off that top mid angle, which is fair, but I don't think he, or the rest of TSM really knew what was being planned there by Oxygen. You know, I think he maybe thought, okay, smoke top mid, they might maybe go for a B split here, or at least take it via lobby. There was no early lobby control. Like you said, you want to see TSM fight a bit more for B early in the rounds. They hadn't done that, I think. Or at least if they had, their information was out of date.
Now Dapper, once again, just controlled it with the cam. This round, they're fighting for it, but it's on an eco. How much can they really get done? Sim has the judge close, but just fully blinded by the paranoia.
No damage to speak of there either.
Suppressed.
And also Proto spotted back around that corner there. They know that Cypher is waiting. Seven able to slow things up here with that mosh pit, and this is dragging Poised across from the A side of the map. I'll keep Gimon checking everything, who does have ult. Should he wish to reposition, but there's been so many rounds for Gimon, as he's just been on the wrong side of the map and is too late to get to the party.
whole lot of jump spots as Oxygen bide their time, waiting out that peak. His life was in danger, but he escapes back around the corner.
Are they really doing this?
I must wait a moment.
And they try to cut noise for a moment, but Gimon's position confirms they're ending B. He would know if they were trying to pull out of there, and Seven has a position. Redux walks straight into that one. The spray, there might be a problem, but a Proto steps up, and Seven switches to the classic. Could be something here, and Poise is going to go for it now with the Rolling Thunder. Forces Mitch right back inside B main. The timing this round from Gimon is actually perfect. Like a wizard, he arrives exactly when he means to. That's going to be Mitch who has to step up onto the site now with 12 seconds left in the round. Dark cover from Gimon that Mitch has to disrespect. And a huge thrifty round. Big part of that was Seven set up in the corner to take 2 free kills before the fight even begun.
The minor mistakes adding up. The 0 point went close. It hit 7. You just have to clear that corner when that's the case. Catches the first, draws the attention. A Proto swings with the Sheriff out. I mean, name a more iconic duo. A Proto and the Ion Sheriff. Take me back to 2020. He's been frying with that forever. And TSM just had no reason to move off the site. There was only noise really being made in B main. It seemed like Dapper was throwing out all the utility to try and say to them, hey guys, it's just me. Anyhow, Oxygen with a fast hit straight through Market off the Rolling Thunder now.
Rolling Thunder's going to be shaken off though by the defenders by now. They've managed to slow up Oxygen just enough. And the reinforcements are coming in, but we see the attack is already extending up into Boba. Great anchoring there in B main, though. That was a big deal, but Gimon eventually is going to get brought down. Seven hoping to follow up, and as the smoke clears, he brings Ferno down. Showstopper will trade, and Scuba is eliminated. Now TSM have figured out how to anchor this site.
And finally, some presence in B main cuts the split in 2. Both of those players having to contend with GMD, Seven assisting him. That is how you do it on the site.
Saw that operator buy for Sim there.
Yeah, just at the very last second. This Oxygen team, they've been trying to claw back into the game. It's been in TSM's hands the entire time. It looked like the comeback was going to be real the second it was going to happen, they just fumble the ball, lose that eco, and now TSM have finally cracked the code. It took a long time, but they had such a large lead that time was on their side. Now it looks like they can finally close this out on Oxygen's map pick. Which again, not to keep going off here, Mitch, but Oxygen were 9-0 on this map until they lost to M80 just the other day in the game that knocked them into this lower bracket. And it looks like they're going to lose here again to a TSM that looked totally lost on this map when we saw them play it against SAD.
They've already played it a couple of times, really, this stage. But they've been working on it, and they've definitely been working on this Oxygen team. Getting a read on him.
This goes here.
And now the Sim's picked up that operator, so that's a great way to fight for B main early. A great way to alleviate some of the pressure on that side of the map. Maybe funnel Oxygen into one of the strongest sites. Map point.
Again, now we're trying to control B main. Now Seven is pushing up. Look at him. He's ready for the cam. He was ready to shoot it. They've made the adjustments.
Not a moment too soon either.
There.
They are pinging that position. They know Dapper does love to lurk around this part of the map early in the round. They're throwing a one-way over towards Link here. Here come Oxygen. Maybe a burst of speed on this A take. See Gimon ready to fall back at a moment's notice, and he opts to take that opportunity now. The signature smoke over towards Elbow. He'll play up on the box in Sport.
Dapper has been so patient.
So awkward. Sim is not going to see this. Seven is watching this corner, but if Dapper...
I mean, is Dapper going to see him? What is this timing?
Seven got off the angle. It's just Sim here. He's got to be traded at least. Trying to run away! Oh my goodness! No! Snap from Sim! He just whips the operator back out and stands his ground. Dapper! What a crucial mistake! At least the trade. Absolutely crucial in that position. And Sim is going to inch up around this corner. He sees the barrel. He knows Redux is cooked and takes him in the arm. Now the 2 versus 2. Spike to hand getting planted over on A.
enemy remaining.
Gimon has this timing.
Planted.
And now it's all going to be down to Mitch for the map in a 1 versus 2. Has Gimon out of the way. And it's going to be poised, set up on the site. Has to find a way to get to Mitch. Gives it a tap. He's going to get caught blindside here, and Mitch keeps Oxygen in the round. A ridiculous back and forth. And Oxygen with that big economy, Wyatt, from winning all those rounds in a row, that's finally starting to get whittled down.
Just evading catastrophic consequences of that whiff with a clutch from the IGL. Oxygen are thanking their lucky stars after that.
One enemy remaining.
That looked like complete disaster. The final 2 players just really not working together in that moment. And Mitch capitalizes. Fast take a B main here from Sim, getting a lot of information, all of Oxygen, towards this A site, where the trips are set up, where the rotation is already coming.
Sim absolutely looking for a fight. Best he'll get is a cam. Now TSM pull back off of this. They say, okay, well, we just ran up mid. We just ran into B. We saw nothing. And they're actually going to give Oxygen a little bit of breathing room on this B side. They have made all, or A side rather, they've got all the way up this elbow for free.
Very patient in elbow now, just waiting out a peek to try to get that first kill into the round. Scuba exploring towards B right now. GMD, market, Sim, backside.
He's not watching the gun. Come on! He was shoulder peeking rather from that kiosk inside market. He got off the angle. At just the right time to let Scuba get in. I don't know if this sells much though, realistically. I do think that TSM are aware of Oxygen's movements here at the A site, and Seven is hearing all of it. He's got nothing but a bucky to work with. Poise might try and flash himself here at a link. 15 seconds left of the round. There's still plenty of room to disrupt this. Oxygen have got to put it together, and quick. A proto set up with the Sheriff here from Spawn, and Gimon finally emerges here from Link. It's up to Redux Inferno now in that 2 versus 2, but they get the spike down.
Last player standing.
Gimon with very little to work with there from Link, and it's a proto and the famous Sheriff to try and end the game here for TSM. Ugly stuff. Wallbang spam coming in, and one last bullet to work with. Might be the Sheriff's last ride. Oxygen are giving him absolutely nothing in a proto.
Oh my god.
Can only speculate.
Not the finest display of 2 of the best young players that we've got in Challengers who are well on their way to partnership. But they got it done nonetheless, Mitch, in the 2 versus 2, Verno and Redux. Again, these rounds are coming down to the wire when it feels like they should be so much cleaner. Somehow Gimon winning duels, low HP, with the Bulldog in hand. A player who's really the foundation of this team. A duo of him and Seven that have really held things together, the glue of TSM, despite their very swingy ups and downs throughout this year. The game is getting very chaotic towards the end.
Definitely a moment here to take a beat. The money for TSM is such that they can get a few rifles into this round. Obviously the kind of round there for TSM when they knew they were sort of on a thrifty position. And some decent moments. Trying to get a lot of value out of Sim, who just covered basically the entire map at the start of the round. And yeah, they're bought out for the most part. Some questionable armor, that is really it. Having Thrash available for that retake could be essential.
That really is the only ultimate that's going to be in play this round, unless Verno or Redux get a hell of a lot of kills, maybe up the plant down as well, and then we get into a post-plant situation, so an advantage for TSM in that regard. Market door closed early, and Oxygen want to break it, just apply some pressure to whoever is holding that side of the map.
TSM not really fighting for B main. They do have a double-faced setup. They are investing pretty heavily on that part of the map.
Not really fighting for anything.
The stakes may be a little bit too high to take those risks early in the game. They don't have a way of getting safe information really either. So for now, they stay put. This will allow Oxygen to make some use of mid. Door was not broken, just whittled down here. They can potentially get the drop on Poised.
Over on A, bit of a re-clear from TSM, so they're going to be steadfast into this B side. Poise gets the first.
A trip caught Mitch as he tried to make his way in there. Spike's actually loose inside Market. This is getting a little bit awkward. Oxygen have to commit to that part of the map now, and Gimon was waiting inside the smoke. He'll be brought down. A Proto backs up. Here's the blast pack being used in Redux.
30 seconds.
Perfect positioning.
Oh, kidding.
Just gets back in behind the corner and then swings out. His opponent didn't know what had him. That overtime now is looking like it's a sure thing.
Remaining.
Seven tries to hold it down, but is traded out by Vernal. And it's up to Sim, who had a fantastic first half of this map. He's relentless, rabid across the map. Much harder to have that same impact here on defense. Scuba's already decided to check his 6, and he was waiting. Sim falls, and we are headed to overtime, folks, in this first map of the series.
It took a second for Redux to get warmed up, but he's really starting to hit as we get deep into the game. My memory doesn't serve me as to what his KD was earlier at some point in the first half, but it wasn't looking good. Now sitting at 20 for 20 is made up for that with a hell of a lot of kills. Impact kills too. Somehow winning that against GMD while GMD was already waiting in the dark cover. And now has the glass cannon operator on defense. Just throwing a curveball at TSM in the first round of OT.
That second half of TSM was pretty quiet, Wyatt. Only 4 rounds on defense.
Okay, buddies, focus up.
Both teams struggling on that side of the map in this head-to-head. Again, TSM get to go back on that attack side and maybe use Sim again as that blunt object to open the map right up.
And again, this default from TSM where Sim pushes up tiles, Poise 7, meet him walking through top mid. There's no trip here. Do they go exploring? Do they push further? I mean, that smoke certainly implies to Oxygen that they could be making their way towards B, splitting through market main, all the way through spawn. So many angles.
I don't know because they have no mid control.
Did Scuba see the cross? I don't think he did.
I don't think so.
Oh, now he knows.
Relay Volto buys a bit of space and a Proto decides to explode into market at that very moment. Here comes Sim, caught by Mitch again, who has been such a stalwart over the course of this map.
Planted.
Knows there's another player on the other side of him. Spots Poised out, and that is 3 for Mitch. Holding it down, and of course, he's able to build that ultimate up in this round now. We are in the post plan, of course, but a player advantage by 2 for Oxygen. Bodes well. And they're going to flash themselves out of this smoke. Oh, that was awkward. What? 7 takes 3. He turns to drop the weapon. Mitch does to one of his teammates, and it messes up the timing of the push out of the smoke.
Match point.
What a massive error for Oxygen.
I'm stunned. A slew of little errors in that round. I mean, Poise caught in no man's land there. What is happening?
Solo out of the smoke. Because there's an exchange of weaponry. I think there's a wires crossed on the timing of that swing. And he gets all of them. 7. No, he just has them for breakfast.
I'm stunned. I don't even know what to say.
There's my buddy.
TSM, a few players towards A. Info Dizzy does not catch a thing, but of course the attackers could be waiting that out. But no, in reality, fast market split from Oxygen in what may be their final round, unless they can convert.
I have to make something huge happen here. And they've got to pick themselves up from what just happened. I don't know how you bounce them back from that. 2 rounds in a row. Mitch feels like fate is not on his side. The deck is now stacked against them. And Redux now wants to explode into Boba. It's a trade. Spike now going to be get down. And on the long flank is Gimon.
Planted.
Arms pumping, trying to get into the action, but of course he'll be contending with the trip here.
This flank might be enough. All of the players for Oxygen in B main playing the passive setup, and now they have to worry about multiple angles. This paranoia could be immense.
Gap is coming up to check this manually. And he gets caught in the paranoia. He just challenges that angle. Gimon wins it out, and what a fault line to get TSM in here. They will take the map. Oxygen almost unbesmirched on Sunset for the entirety of this season. Brought down by TSM, who, like you said, Wyatt, are peaking at the right time.
And it felt like that was about to slip out of the grasp of TSM at so many different points. That going to OT after such a dominant opening. The rounds at the end getting scrappy as hell. There is no denying that. Perhaps some nerves spreading around the server. I don't really know what to say about it, but TSM finally capitalized and really heads up on that final round from GMD to counter what the Oxygen side have been doing over and over on B, which was playing from main, finally flanking, finally pushing into that area of the map from all sides. Well played at the very end. TSM win Oxygen's map pick.
That is huge, right? I mean, it looked like a pool that really favored Oxygen, but they get Bind up next, and that is a must-win for Oxygen, or they are out of contention for Ascension. They're out of Challengers, full stop. In these finals, ridiculous. We're going to go to a break. We'll come back, of course, more from this series and a quick chat about the map of Sunset before we dive in.